Agile Killers is a video series by consultants about internal and external constraints that impede the successes of Agile. They're not about project process, lack of documentation, or people management. It's about self-awareness and business psychology. So please allow this to serve as my confession to the world as an Agile project manager. My topic today has been described by philosophers as self-deception. I call it corporate narcissism. So as you can imagine, I've been seen as the hard-to-work-with guy, and plenty of other names, I'm sure. So I continue to push the envelope to get a business through to the next level of productivity, but I consistently run into some of the strangest behaviors. So let's begin talking about ourselves. Ask yourself how many times you walked out of a meeting knowing the solution won't work, but the sponsor really wants to do it their way. We as business teams need to get honest, which means I'm going to tell you why it won't work until you understand, regardless of your title. If I can't be honest, what's the point in meeting to discuss our thoughts? So this is but another attempt in my quest to educate us about us. It's time to get honest. Many hours are lost in attempts to make everyone feel good in a failing environment. And if we can honestly focus on the environment, the successes alone will make everyone feel good. So I hope the following helps make you aware that many times the problem is us and not what we blame. For example, convincing yourself you're not in a downfall doesn't mean you're not. I've spent a lot of time gathering metrics only to hear them in a more aesthetic tone delivered. After honest retrospect and frankly a few drinks, many professionals have admitted that they're aware of this and they do it on purpose. We're expected to report positive metrics and to solve the issues before they become a problem. As a result, we've developed more dashboard reporting and real-time analytics. Now this has been touted to bring new light to project status and portfolio management. But just as quickly, all of our deceptive or narcissistic behaviors have adapted, and we found a new culprit to avoid personal accountability. How many times have you heard someone blame the economy for poor metrics or results? Expecting the good old days to bring a profit seems only to add to our complacency. Are you working for a company that believes nothing should change until the market comes back around? One better. Is this same company claiming to be adopting Agile and throwing other buzzwords around because it sounds like the right thing to say in a meeting? If so, your company might be exactly what I'm talking about. So then I hear, in the meantime, we need to recognize our employees and focus on retention. So in a paralyzed environment, what success can be found and who are my high performers? Many times the analysis shows that the issue was caused by the resource that solved it. Maybe we're rewarding the wrong individuals. Or do we identify the people that prevented the disaster in the first place? As our skill sets become more and more specialized, this becomes more difficult. Personal accountability and well-documented risks are one way. Most issues are customer-sourced, and most risk is expert-sourced. So by documenting how risk was avoided or mitigated provides a means to differentiate between the team members. Now, as an Agile PM, how many times have you been offered an open door only to be dared to be honest? As we mature the Agile space, communicating to larger groups is more commonplace, and as a result, the Agile PM is a source of good and bad news more frequently. The fear of repercussion is a major factor in our ability to respond to realized risks and issues. The business must overcome this. As an Agile PM, the biggest killer I've faced is the financial approval process. Since businesses have downsized in the last couple of years, the process has consolidated to single individuals. This result causes additional discussions regarding value. The controller may be too far removed from the work to discern value and hesitate in spending the money necessary to ensure the work continues uninterrupted. With the economical issues already clouded the financial judgment of some, there's other fallout. For example, one company consolidated its financial structure so much that even the monies already set aside for operational capital weren't being spent to maintain the environment. These impacts were quick hits to the bottom line, but they've left the company crippled in skill sets, and it's much more to outsource. Now, in the military, everything was hurry up and wait. As I came back to civilian life, I realized that everything is wait and hurry up. As we attempt to be more agile, we're faced with latent decision-making. Now, I've heard a whole host of excuses to delay pushing the button, but the bottom line is when they get around to making a decision, they'll need it tomorrow because now it's the highest priority. It's time we all adopt accountability, and I personally propose that we take responsibility for our peers internally. A truly narcissistic individual doesn't believe they cause problems. My peers' performance reflects on my ability because we are a peer group. Ever heard of a peer individual? Of course not. So how can their failures not affect our collective success? By taking this approach, there's no need for a senior manager to get involved. There's no need for a subordinate to, quote, take a chance. Most importantly, you and your peers are now working in an environment that condones honesty and eliminated the fear of repercussion from above. This results in efficiencies to senior staff, trust from your employees, and respect for one another. One change on your team made this difference. So let's take a look at feedback the old way. The following are actual issues I face with many clients behind closed doors. We're all guilty of this, and sometimes it's hard to hear, but we just solved that issue. So ask yourself if the following applies to you. Now, I'm not asking you to celebrate it publicly with your employees, but we all need to hear it from someone. And as a sponsor for the work success depends on you. You don't depend on the work success. When solutions are provided, they are FYI and not FYA for your approval. If this is your management style where the work is this simple, save the money, hire cheap labor, and tell them what to do. Experts for you are the same as driving thumbtacks with hammers, and it causes contention. Don't tie down your experts. In a desire to be seen as a success, sponsors tend to allow success to take place to an extent. Then you get involved. Well, this lying in wait for successful milestones is not how your value is measured. Let's get honest, you're just in the way. So allow your teams to take risk and give them the credit. Your cumulative value will reflect upon you as a senior manager. After admitting the behaviors that apply to you, take this final note. Differentiate between objective metrics and subjective opinion. This is where you can get involved. Allow your team to be honest in their metrics and pave the way through the organization and support the project's success. Your advocacy for them and the honesty with your peers is going to take us a long way as a project team. All Agile PMs are faced with these challenges, but these are not all the challenges Agile PMs are faced with. These specific external dependencies can only be resolved through constant self-assessment or peer input. So ask yourself if this is how you run business. Am I contributing to these types of failures? And before you shrug them off, remember that denial is the second sign of ailment.